All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are back tonight, and we are starting up Swords of the Serpentine. It's been a couple weeks since our session 0. We're ready to go. We're starting tonight proper. We're actually playing, and everyone's really excited because Melissa brought up awesome news right before. You don't want to share it, though, I would imagine. Right?
No,
yeah, that's what I thought.
No.
Nope,
Excited about Swords of the Serpentine.
Very excited. Very excited. So
we are.
It is fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, we're back. This is first time gumshoe for all of us, I think. But the very heavy book. I've read through it a couple times, and I have forgotten everything I know. It's the size of a book that, like, you read it, and then by the time you get to the end of it, you've forgotten everything from the first third. So like, it's that big of a book. So yeah, we'll probably make some mistakes, but whatever. It'll be fun. A couple weeks ago, we sat down. We did our session 0. And we have like a sort of theme that we're going to be going with, and that is that you're all members of an ancestral noble family. Melissa, what is the name of that noble family again?
Mainwallen.
Mainwallen, and that's how we're pronouncing it. So I want to make sure.
Yes.
You got that correct? Okay, fantastic. Okay, and everyone here is as a member of the family in some fashion, and some more local, some distant cousins, etc. Since this is session 1, we're going to do like a quick, just give us a quick refresher, since it's been a few weeks, of who your character is. You don't got to get into too much yet. Just tell us the sort of like who they are, what are they good at, that kind of thing. What is their role in the family? And then you'll have an opportunity during the opening scene to kind of describe them in sort of action. So we're going to start, as the overlay suggests, with Jeremy. Jeremy, tell us about Chauncey.
I'm playing Chauncey Redding. I am a magnificent bastard. I've been told that my role in the family is being social lubricant, which I just love. I'm mostly social skills, a bit of knavish ability, but everybody's best friend.
Fantastic. Do you think that Chauncey speaks like that because he practiced doing it, or
yes.
do you? Yeah,
so
okay.
it's a bad posh accent.
Yeah, it's not like an accent that is indicative to like the family. It's just what you've done. Yeah. Okay.
It's what he's done because he's got a whole thing where he plays, the legitimate bastard amongst the commoners, and that's how he made a name for himself.
Fantastic. Okay. Melissa, tell us about Fortuna.
Yes, so I will figure out the voice as I go, as I tend to. Fortuna Mainwallen, my role in the family is the caretaker, basically. She is all about the family. Perceived by outsiders, probably a little more martyr, but, she would say caretaker.
Okay, fantastic. When we were doing the character creation, almost everybody made like an outcast kind of character, and Melissa is like not really an outcast. Like, no, Melissa and Kipser are a little bit closer to the family than the other three, and so we've sort of all gravitated towards making Melissa kind of the heiress sort of the family, because the good student is basically what she's become. At least that's where we're starting. Doesn't mean where we're going to end there. Could be, who knows? You could have a shaved head and you could be drinking all sorts of beer with pirates by the end of this. We never know.
You never know.
Okay. Aaron, tell us about Arkadiy.
Yeah, I am Arkadiy Koshkov, distant cousin to my Mainwallen friends from Uzrek is where I come. My babushka, she says to me, she goes, go to Eversink and tell family there for reasons we do not need to discuss right now. But for the family, I am family shadow. I am family protector. I am family killer. And I am here to make sure that Fortuna eventually arises to the matriarch's position in a family that is quite wealthy and powerful.
Fantastic. Your voice is amazing. That's just wonderful. I love it. It's so good. Okay. Next up, our other black sheep, back into the fold. Long, tell us about Vincent.
Yeah, I'm playing Vincent Guy. Very sad fellow. Everyone is sad here. I'm a tool for the family, just to be used. My powers. I see the spirits of Eversink. They just linger around, keeping everything loomy.
Okay. And Long is in cosplay. He's got a beautiful shirt on. Yeah. So if you're listening to this later on podcast, you should check out the VOD. He is it's really hot in here. We might be getting a PG-13 rating. I don't know. We'll see. It's fantastic. Okay. And ex-con too, right? You were recently released from prison, right?
In 12 years, I've been out for almost a month.
Okay. Did we clarify? Was it Summerhall? Were you in the Summerhall prison, or were you like locked up in like some sort of Church of Denari dungeons or something like that?
Interested the summer halls. It sounds okay.
Yeah, it's like the sort of primary prison within Eversink. Okay, good to know. And then finally, Kessler, tell us about Sola Vita.
Hello. Yes, I am Sola Vita. You can call me Sola. I am here because I like to read books, and sometimes I collect them from places that are not so good, but I collect them for the family, and we have all the information we need.
Excellent. Wonderful. Okay. So some reminders for everybody. As we've all said, you're the Mainwallen family. You are an ancient noble. You live in Alderhall. When we say ancient noble, you actually go all the way back towards like the founding of Eversink. At least that's the story, that you guys are on the golden contract, the very contract that the founders of Eversink signed with Denari, the goddess herself, before she kind of uplifted the islands on which to build Eversink. Your names are on it. You all live within a neighborhood. We kind of fleshed this out a little bit offline, of Giglio Hill, which is a neighborhood in Alderhall, and you are in a matriarchal family. Like your family is led by a matriarch, and hopefully one day, if things go right, it's possible Fortuna might actually get that. It's usually an older matriarch, like a crone, not necessarily somebody as young as Fortuna. How old is Fortuna? She's like, what, 40s or something?
50.
50? Okay, we're pretty close then. All right.
I'm close to crone.
Oh, that hurts. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Dagger right in the back.
Right in the ear. And the current matriarch is Eliana Mainwallen IV. So that is the current head of the family. However, all of you all had to take a point in ancient nobility. As one of your allies. You're all lower level. You're not necessarily the most influential of the family as of yet, but time can change that. Okay, so let's get started. Let me get a little music going, and go from there. It's exciting.
Very exciting. Very exciting. And we
All
have officially offended chat on behalf of anyone in their 50s.
They're still up? Wow. That was so mean.
Give me a shot of adrenaline, somebody, quick.
Okay. All right. We're going to open up in Giglio Hill. It's a neighborhood in Alderhall, and one of the sort of the southern islands of it. It's named primarily after this water lily that sprouts along the canals. And as we're kind of sort of zooming over top of it, it's daytime, probably earlier in the day, maybe late morning. And we can see various noble estates, these undulating streets. We can see buildings of some ramshackle variety, layered upon layer, some with rooftop greenery that actually makes this place look a little more vibrant than other places across Eversink. We can see veiled bridges where some garland and other decorations have been hung. And we can see all of these canals weaving through the neighborhood like veins. And we settle on one particular estate, and it's got its very notable sprawl, and it's very incoherent and incongruent architecture, as different wings and levels all look completely disparate from one another. And this is the ancestral home of the Mainwallen family, signers, as we said, of the Golden Contract. We hear sounds of revelry floating from these opulent Mainwallen gardens on the estate, where various performers and participants are gathering at this starting point for what has become a neighborhood staple, Tidebreakers Day, and specifically a parade to celebrate it. Now, the streets of Gilio Hill are crowded with celebrants of various levels of enthusiasm, some authentic, usually of some noble variety and of a younger age, others very resigned, some performative, probably hired to be there to make it look better than it really is. And you can see every railing and every window is lined with garlands and lanterns and such. And we can see performers and floats and music, all of them honoring the nobles who, quote unquote, saved Eversink during the Putrid Tide. Putrid Tide, a commoner rebellion, or a near commoner rebellion from generations ago. So all of you, as lower level, less influential people within the family, and having all been recently brought back into the fold for reasons not yet known, other than the family is in trouble and they need who they can get, and you are who they can get. All of you have been tasked with being here to represent the family. And as we scan across the crowd, the performers, we can see other noble families from the neighborhood, others from other parts of Alderhall as well. We're going to go through this one at a time, and I want you to describe what we see. Where are you in this parade? What is your attire? What are you doing as like the parade is kind of passing around the neighborhood? And then if you want, give us like a little detail, something about the holiday or the parade or something like that. So we're going to start again with Chauncey. Where's Chauncey in all of the festivities?
Well, of course, I'm on one of the floats, as it were. But this is, I like to call this the Hope Floats competition, where various people from families, each of them enters their own float. And somebody at lower level can be declared the queen of the carnival, and then she can bring up her man of honor, and it's just a grand time, just riling up the crowd, finding some sort of cheap little trinket, and just tossing them out to the crowd to go me, and just having a great time. Maybe even passing out a few masks here and there.
Oh, fantastic! What do the masks look like? Are you wearing one?
Oh yes, and so he wears really old, he usually wears his great-grandfather's clothes, and these are very stylish for 100 years ago, and it's green and purple and gold and incredibly gaudy and overdone, and the mask has a long pointy nose and feathers and frills going off to the side. It's extremely over the top.
Do you think there is any sort of sash or other kind of emblem that portrays the Mainwallen crest or something like that somewhere?
Oh, for sure. But it's oversized. It's almost comically oversized. It's one of those sashes that's this wide, it's covering the entirety of his torso.
And we've never actually decided on this, so you get the dibs. What is the Mainwallen crest? What does it look like? Is there a sigil? Is there a mascot? What do you think it might be?
Ooh. Okay. So I like to think it's a shield of sorts, and it's split diagonally down the middle, where there's basically a tree and a fox, and on one side of it, the tree is white and the fox is red, and on the flip side of it, the tree is red and the fox is white.
Oh, wonderful! I love that. That's fantastic. Okay, do you think I would imagine probably the fox is somewhat of an iconic animal for Mainwallens. Maybe we see maybe it's in the gardens. Now. Maybe you all have. Maybe you all maybe you actually have a gamekeeper as part of the
maybe that's foxes. Even the theme for the mask then.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's got the pointy nose and everything. And instead of feathers, it's tufts for the ears.
I love it. Does anyone? We don't have to go necessarily in order. Is anyone on the float with Chauncey? Does anyone want to take that claim?
No.
Okay.
Fortuna's definitely not.
Where is Fortuna then? We'll go
to
you
Fortuna. So one of the kind of bits of items that I had said at character creation that she has is garden. So she is definitely all about sort of the flowers on the floats. So looking at her, she's recently turned 50. She's got dark hair that's curly, but it's sort of always up in a bun. And she is always dressed in very well-made clothes that were clearly well made a while ago. And she has never worn anything that's even remotely form-fitting. Like, it's always sort of frumpy, baggy type clothes, again, that are very well made, but she is not kind of about looking attractive. And she's very much going back and forth between greeting and doing all the things she's supposed to do, and also looking over every single float as it goes by and making sure that there is no flower out of place. And, I imagine she sort of has this bag on her of kind of clipped flowers that when she sees that something appears out of place, she kind of rips it off, puts it in her pocket, and, kind of puts a new bud in. And so this is very emblematic of what she does with the family, that everything needs to outwardly look fantastic, and this is what she does.
Okay. Do you think that you're just collecting like the lilies? Because like the way I am envisioning Gilio Hill is that where all of the canals are and where the neighborhood reaches like the southern coast effectively, there is a preponderance of these things. Like it's almost like weeds to another place, but they're sacred, or they're so they're a source of like pride for the neighborhood. Do you think it's just that, or do you think there's like some more exotic things that you've managed to collect?
I would say that Fortuna does have a garden that she works very hard at growing a variety of things, kind of anything that she can make work. She has a green thumb for sure. So she, whether it be, potted or, whatever it is, she enjoys the beauty of kind of the variety.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Aaron, where do we find Arkadiy amongst the reverie? What does he look like? What is he doing?
So Arkadiy is average height. He's bald, and the left side of his head it looks like a broken glass, like a rock hit it. You've got this shattered pattern of scars going across his skull and across the left side of his face. He's got a large horseshoe mustache, black horseshoe mustache that drips down. He's wearing really well-made and well-fitted black leather armor, and he's got a gray overcoat over it. And where we find him is he's ahead of the parade, and we see him in an alley, and he's got a man in his arms. He's like, "Listen, my friend. It's not good for you to be agitated during parade. You see, it's all right. Go sleep now. Tell Bonaventure family not to try to upset our dear Lady Fortuna. And when you wake up, make sure you tell them, no, it's all right. Go to sleep now." And once he goes to sleep, he takes his money pouch off this guy, tosses it in the canal. "For you, Morana, Lady of Death and Winter, in contrition for not actually killing this sad agent of the Bonaventures." And then you see, then his head just spins back, and it's constantly just locked on Fortuna as he just slowly disappears into the crowd, staying ahead of her float.
As you are sifting through the crowd, like you hear things, like the crowd is very it's very layered. This is a celebration of the noble class putting down a commoner rebellion. Yet the bulk of the people in the crowd are commoners, despite the fact that we are in Alder Hall. Like, we're talking servants and workers and all sorts of such. Some who are obligated to be here or paid to be here, that sort of thing. And so you hear all sorts of various whispers, and not even whispers in some cases, outright resentment of like the excesses of the day. And then you hear others shout it down and such. And so you hear this constant kind of back and forth battle. More than once you hear like the mad proclamations like of like this hermit that just is kind of moving through the crowd from time to time, kind of draped in what looks like these furs, which is unseasonal as it is relatively warm. But he's like draped in furs, and he's got this long stick, and he's not saying anything quite so terrible. But if he catches anyone like whispering about the negativity or the excesses of the family, he'll just begin to rattle off names, Main Wallen names, like this resume of all their accomplishments through the generations. It is a man that everyone would know as Alexander Dumas, the Mad Hermit, and he has this long, kind of gnarly, spotted beard with various things that seem to be sticking out to it. Every now and then a bird flies down and just pecks away at it and flies away, and it doesn't seem to bother him one bit. Vincent, this is a difficult day for you, considering your history. Where do we find you? What do you look like? What are you doing?
So Tiebreaker's Day is the anniversary of the incident for me when I got put in jail. It's a huge magic mishap that killed many here. So it's a very mournful moment for me. Chauncey, I'd be on his float. He's the only one that's allowed me to join.
I insisted.
While everyone's cheering during the parade and stuff like that, I can seek out people that have more of a sorrow face to them.
And the majority of those people, by the way, when you see them staring at you. And it's like this combination of sorrow, this combination of hatred. Like you can see like they almost revile you in some cases. And then you realize that most of them are like commoners, workers and such, and they stare at you. And occasionally someone like shouts out recognition of who you are. They call out some kind of derision or some kind of name or title. Do you go by something? Is there something people call you based upon what you did? What you said 12 years ago, I think it was. Like, do you have like a name that people refer to you as?
I've got a title that people refer to me as the Spirit Chaser of Main Wallen.
Okay. All right. And interspersed with like some of that shouting, you hear other kinds. You see others that are less like they're really just kind of shouting up more, not at you, but at you and Chauncey and just the entirety of like the Main Wallens. When you look down, you can see spotted in and around the familiar colors of the Bonaventures. Arkadiy was able to grab one or two here and there, but they are just as invited here as you all. It's just they are not known to be the hosts of the parade because it is the Main Wallens who history has deemed the heroes of the Putrid Tide. But the Bonaventures themselves have long held like some kind of grudge, but every now and then something flies through the air and like settles onto the parade or kinks off of like Chauncey's back or Vincent's head, or maybe it smashes into a flower. You quickly see Arkadiy probably go and take care of it, and other times it gets lost.
And that's probably part of why Fortuna is having to do so much work to repair these floats, is because all of these things keep getting kind of thrown in. And
exactly. Yeah. And then finally, Kipser, where do we find Sola Vita? What does she look like? What is she doing in all of this?
So Sola Vita has one very dark, near black-brown eye, and one sort of a dark green eye, as she kind of stares out, hidden where she knows the parade will end, because Fortuna definitely wanted her on that float. As compensation, she did dress up a statue in the traditional fox mask, like full-on papier-mâché head with ears and mask. And like the fox, sort of the red and white garb that would be worn in a traditional ceremony, and has it sort of walking in front of the parade as if she is there doing that, just kind of like off to the side, pushing it through and allowing it to walk. But she's hiding out where she knows it'll end, so she doesn't have to participate in this parade. And Fortuna cannot catch her until the very end of the parade.
So where you will be hiding then is the necropolis on Giglio Hill.
Yes.
Because as the parade weaves through the various streets, not alleys, it's too small, but streets, and passes by the noteworthy noble estates, and every time it passes by one of these noble houses, there's a pause, and then there's some sort of separate celebration that every family gets. You all obviously get the priority. You're there at the beginning. But others have their own opportunity to start filing in, and you can see members from other families, unfortunately the Bonaventures themselves, but you see the Carnuccios and such as they file in. But the reverie softens a little bit, lowers a little bit as the gates to the necropolis open. Now, the necropolis is they call it a hill, but ultimately it's not one made from earth. It's made from layers upon layers upon layers of building and rebuilding, building and rebuilding of all these different mausoleums and funerary buildings, not where people are interned, but where their statues themselves are interned. And it's a very sprawling, winding, very somber complex. And the parade, as it enters through the gate, quiets a little. The music is sort of brought down. You can hear, instead of the celebration, it's a dirge now. It's a little bit more soft and sad. You can see the dancing becomes a little less flamboyant. And as you pass by these like smaller wings where lesser nobles or nobles of less renown had their funerary statues interred, you eventually wind your way up to the top, where the wing of martyrs is essentially constructed, and you see this almost octagonal building weave around, and you can see the parade itself comes to like make a horseshoe around this opening. These large stone doors. You can see the etchings of two swan wings coming together at the seam, and whoever might be like your house guards, or maybe Arkadiy himself, or maybe Vincent hops down. You open up these huge doors, and people begin to kind of weave inside. And as they do, this is when like groups of people start venturing in, as opposed to the parade as a whole. It is a relatively kind of eerie setting, as when the doors open up, there are statues looking at you. Like every step of the way, it feels like eyes are on you. And some of those statues are full length. They're actual full-bodied. Some of them are busts. Others are much smaller and set on pedestals or in these alcoves. But there are dozens and dozens and dozens, all of them, many of them Mainwallens, many of them Bonaventures, and others around the neighborhood. But as all of you are coming in, you hear the sound of a shriek from deeper inside. You hear the sound of a woman call out, help! Oh my, what happened? Oh my goodness! And she's shouting and running, and you can see like she bumps into one of these statues, which wobbles ever so slightly and then settles, and then you see her skirting about. She's just kind of one of the parade navigators. She comes running up, and her face is white, and she's pointing back towards the direction she went. There's you all here, maybe a dozen other folks, and her hand has like a little bit of blood on it. What do you do?
Everyone stay calm, nothing to fear here. We have top men ahead of us who will take care of this shortly. Just try and keep anybody else from freaking out.
Okay, and you do
command.
Okay, and I will say you do see that there are people who are very curious, who are pushing in, who are very, very interested in wanting to know what happened. So if you want to make a roll here, Jeremy, with your, actually, no, wait, you're doing command, right? You said?
Potentially, like I'm testing the waters for how that works.
Well, command
if rolling sway is better, I'm happy to do that.
Sway would be the roll. Sway is sway is a general ability, so that's the one you would roll on. Command is like an investigative, so that's like a point spend if you want it.
Cool.
So if you wanted to roll sway, you could certainly do that.
So do I just click the little dice symbol on here to make it happen?
Yeah, or you just roll a d6. The difficulty is 4. You can spend points ahead of time. Try to roll. It's okay, but you can spend points ahead of time from your sway pool to essentially get a modifier on that. Okay, but we'll say. That's fine for now. I
should have done that then. So because I probably would have, I would think normally I would spend, I'm trying to look at because I have a thing that's the equivalent of cleave, but socially. Yeah. I think you need to beat something by 3 or so.
That's more like in combat though. That's more like when you're in combat. That's a combat ability really. In
but
combat,
still, maybe I would have thrown in 4 because it is very much the sort of thing that you don't want the crowd to freak out.
Okay. I'll say keep your points.
Okay.
But I will say maybe half
In the future,
of
spend it before. Gotcha.
Yeah, and we'll say half of the crowd. You see a few noticeable folk kind of step through. You see folks amongst your own family. You see a few folks wearing the colors that are common with other noble houses. You see like one wearing like the Bonaventure colors kind of push forward, this kind of young, wiry man in his 30s, early 30s that just seems to have like an air about him that he doesn't care what you had to say anyway. You see a tall and imposing man wearing this black like doublet and his house guards that you recognize from the Carnucci family. They're associated with the Church of Denari, and they kind of just push past. Does anyone follow with them, or do you all kind of just linger at the door?
Oh yeah, Arkadiy, as soon as the lady screamed, sort of faded into the background and would have already headed that way to see what the problem was.
Okay.
Solovit is probably hiding behind one of the statues already in the building and would sneak behind Arkadiy once he's past her.
Okay. Vincent and Fortuna, do you, if Chauncey's for now trying to hold back, we'll say some of the commoner folk from rushing in. You've done a decent job, but there's still some people who've gotten past you. Fortuna and Vincent, what are the two of you doing?
You said the Church of Denari was pushing through, so I would follow them.
Yeah, it's the Danucci family, which is another noble family in your neighborhood, but they have close ties with the Church of Denari. They have family members who are inquisitors and things like that. They've probably were some of the people eyeing you very warily on the float. And then Fortuna.
I would say that Fortuna is seeing that Chauncey is kind of trying to kind of keep some of the commoner folks out. I would say Fortuna is trying to engage some of the other families in kind of a discussion of we'll get this taken care of right away, and kind of what the next steps in this in the festivities were going to be, and kind of trying to kind of also keep some of those folks a bit away, because she knows that other members of the family are going to kind of run ahead.
Well, the last stage of the festivities was an honor speech for the fallen who fell during the putrid tide, and that was supposed to be delivered by the honorary guests of the Mainwallens, and I believe people have put you forward, Fortuna. So if you're looking to keep people back on track, I would say you might want to devise some kind of speech to honor the fallen noble dead. But I'll give you a second to think of that, and I'll cut back where Arkadiy and Vincent and Solovita have come in. You can see that there's a few other folks now, but all of them are in this recessed, very dark section of the Wing of Martyrs, which is the Wing of Martyrs is specifically where nobles who died during the putrid tide have been interned. They're funerary statues. And you see what everyone is looking at. There is a body hanging very grotesquely from and this is something that is probably very upsetting, a broken funerary statue that is half on the ground, half standing up. The body itself appears, just from looking at it, to be coated in blood, and at first glance bears the familiar colors and wig of a Bonaventure family member. And you can immediately see that Tomas Bonaventure is already like weeping to the side and is apoplectic. Who would do such a thing to my cherished family member? Oh, good gracious. Meanwhile, the Danucci family are looking down at the statue, and they too are having this moment of sadness as you start to realize you are in the section that would be the Danucci family. And this is more than likely a funerary statue honoring one of theirs. So how Gumshoe basically works, or how this works, is you guys just tell me what you're doing. If you got your investigative abilities, you're in a scene, there's a dead body, lots of little things going on. You tell me what you're doing, like what like ability basically you're using to collect information. And then you kind of get stuff for free just because you have it. Obviously, it should be investigative abilities that you have points in, that you have ranks in. And then in some cases, there might be opportunities for you to make a spend to get additional information or extra bonuses or something like that. I might have some ideas. You might suggest ideas. So we'll go from there. So I'm going to start Arkadiy. What do you think his first thing that he's doing as he rushes in here?
So the first thing Arkadiy would be focusing on is basically seeing and sighting on everything. You know, that Sherlock Holmes noticing all the fine details. So he's got Vigilance 3, so I think Vigilance is where he would start his investigation.
Okay. One of the things, so would you say you're focusing on the body or the scene or the surroundings? What do you think is sort of more Arkadiy's focus?
I think the surroundings.
Okay.
He wants to understand how this person was killed, where they were, if they were killed here, how they were put on the statue. So he would be focusing on the scene first before the body.
You notice around the scene there are signs of blood on the ground to suggest that he was killed first on the ground and then hung up on like the shattered, splintered stone of this other funerary statue. And that's the first thing you would notice. And the second thing you would notice is that the ground is very dusty, but the full parade has not yet come through here to done their sort of more like museum-like sweep. But nonetheless, you can see that there are all manner of tracks and footfalls and drag marks, things that suggest that there was some sort of crowd or some grouping of people here. And it doesn't look, as you're kind of observing these tracks, like you can clock the footfalls that are yours, Vincent, Solavita's, the various other folks who came with you, but you see others that are kind of disappearing off deeper into the necropolis itself. Okay. Vincent, what do you think you would be doing?
After seeing the scene, I would try to activate some spirit sight, like pull back the veil, take a peek into the spirit world, if there's any lingering ghosts.
Okay. So I believe you need to make a spend. Let's double check this. I think you have to make a spend to actually see, like to actually like dig in and have your eyes go through and actually start to see the other side. Is that something you're willing to do?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Okay. What does it look like when you do this? Like so this is like the first time you've really triggered this ability, or any ability really. So what does it look like? Does something change? Is it noticeable? It doesn't have to be, but like what do you think it looks like?
First off, there's tears just falling down my face, out of my eyes uncontrollably. My eyes just go blank. They flutter while I'm scanning the room.
And I would say maybe at the moment, everyone is very focused. So they maybe no one of the other families or of the other various folk from the parade that made it through, none of them maybe notice you yet. Maybe your own family sees you, maybe not, it's up to them. But as you look around for ghosts, you do in fact see one. And at first you don't see any, like you're scanning around, it's kind of a empty wing. These are people who have been dead for generations. And since they have statues, more than likely they've been brought to Denari's heaven. Like that's the idea of the statue, right? But you see one, this man in his late 30s, early 40s. You see him kind of hiding behind some of these other other statues and columns, and he's kind of huddled over it, and it looks like he's trying not to be seen. But as you're looking, you're seeing, it almost looks like there's this drain coming out of his chest. Like you could see all these small little bits of blood or liquid just pouring constantly out on his chest, and you can even hear a bit of the sounds of it hitting the floor. No one else sees this. This is just you.
You poor creature, what keeps you in these halls?
And when he notices you staring at him, he looks up. He retreats kind of further back and tries to reset his hiding spot. And that's when you notice this wig on his back, like kind of a little bit off skew. You notice the garb. It all matches the body that you see hanging from the broken funerary statue. This is the ghost, more than likely, of this body. Okay. Solavita, what are you doing when you come in here?
So Solavita, stepping kind of in the shadows of Arkadiy, is going to reach a hand out, grab the hood of Vincent's cloak, and just pull it up and over to hide his face a little better.
Vincent, forget not that we are in the presence of the Nares. It's better to hide a little bit, no?
And then she's going to look towards the body, and since nobody else has done it yet, I was going through some of mine, I'm going to try Leechcraft to see if I can't figure out exactly the means of death, when they died, like how long this body has been here, if it was obvious, like this blunt force trauma, or if there was some additional information.
Okay, so just by having Leechcraft and saying you're using it, what you can observe is, first of all, they look to have been stabbed at least a dozen or more times, all over their torso, and some maybe like up into the neck, but mostly around the chest or the back. You can see, despite the fact that it's covered in a great deal of blood, there is the wig, the sigil, the colors of the Bonaventure family. The same getup that you've seen all of the Bonaventure nobles that have attended this parade. And again, most of the nobles that attend the parade are lower level. Like they're the people who have better things to do. This is a young person's activity. You notice that there is a dagger that is sticking out of the chest, as it looks to be like jammed, and it's covered in blood, but it's beautiful. It's jeweled, and it looks extremely valuable. It's not just some back alley thief's kind of dagger. This is more of a display item than it is something that anyone would really use for such a thing. And you notice that you're not the only one that's staring at that, as you see there is Thomas Bonaventure staring at the dagger, and you can see he's got this kind of this calculating face looked on. Now that's what you get for free. If you wanted to make a spend to get extra information, you could potentially do that as well. So you'd make a 1 point spend of Leechcraft, and I have some extra things I could give you.
Ooh, all right. So I'm almost tempted to lean, instead of Leechcraft, towards Forgotten Lore or City Secrets to find out more about the dagger itself. But yes, I'll spend one for Leechcraft to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to commit to this.
So there's a few other things that you would notice by observation. And one of them is that the face, which is kind of hanging downward, and you can see is devoid of stabs, but nonetheless, the mouth is discolored. You can see the lips and the gums are this kind of darkened, kind of blackened, purpley kind of color, not from swelling, but from as if he ingested some kind of substance. So that is something you definitely see. The second thing you notice is that the clothing from where the stabs were, like the tunic, the coat, all that kind of stuff that he's wearing, has been shredded from the stabs. And you can see there's sections of the torso that are showing through. And you see a tattoo, like along the ribs, a very crude looking one. It is not the type of tattoo that you would expect to see that someone of noble status would sort of deface their own body with. If they were going to do that, it would be one of artistic merit. But this looks like something crude and hastily done by not anyone that is artistic. Now, there might be additional things you could do, but it would probably require you like taking the body down and doing a proper examination. But all of this just from like looking and getting close. But you're like literally rubbing elbows now with Thomas Bonovich, who's like shoving you off here and there. Okay. Chauncey and Fortuna. The two of you notice that the crowd is getting very antsy. And the woman who rushed out is kind of like, oh, there was a dead body. It was a Bonovich. A Bonovich just stabbed 1,000 times right in the chest. It was awful. And you can see there's people who are like crowding around her and comforting her, like, a Bonovich, which one? Which one is it? And then you can see other folks in those kind of Bonaventure clothing stepping forward and be like, one of us? How dare you? And they step up to you, Chauncey. And they're like, let us pass. Let us pass, Mainwalden. What do you do?
Okay. It's fine. I was actually already plotting. Oh,
sorry.
You first.
Yeah, both of you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just describe what you're doing.
I would say that Fortuna, seeing kind of what's happening, Fortuna would try to, kind of get herself up on the part of a float or pedestal or something. And she is, kind of tapping. She pulls out of her bag. She always has this little kind of architect's compass, and so she finds something metal to hit it against, to kind of get everyone's attention. And she says, "As we know, at this time in this day, it is most crucial for us to do our remembrances." And so she just, as loudly as she can, trying to kind of talk over what's happening, she says, "On days such as these, we set our minds to the past. We recall those sacrifices, large and small. We look to waters and skies, reminders all. We will not repeat if we hearken back." And she's just saying things about looking to the past and all of such whatnot.
And you hear people in the crowd be like, "It's not the past, there's a dead body in there. It's like right now in the present. You fool, you deaf fool." As like different people from the crowd are like starting to heckle. Are you trying to make a roll here to see if you can like quell some of like this kind of what looks like a wave of people who are very interested in what's going on inside? Okay.
That is definitely what I'm trying to do. So if this would be like sway?
I would say this is definitely sway. You're giving a speech to try to for sure. And now before you roll, remember that you can spend points from sway, because it's a general ability, to give yourself a modifier on the roll. And remember that general ability pools, they will periodically refresh throughout the course of an adventure. Investigative pool points, like what Solavita spent, those are less likely to refresh throughout the course of an adventure. Not impossible, but most of the time they don't. So with that in mind,
I have 8 sway total. So I think I'll go ahead and spend 2 of that here.
Okay. So
what
you're going
did
to
you
get
say
plus
the difficulty
2s.
was?
It's generally it's 4 unless I say otherwise. Okay. Difficulty is pretty default to 4. And it's a D6 plus 2. So just roll a 2 or better and you're good to go.
I rolled a 3.
Okay, so it's a 5 total.
Yes.
And so like you kind of shush them down and like you hear other folks now kind of start to get your back. Don't be such an irreverent fool, you hack. She's trying to speak of the dead. This is not the kind of behavior that we should be exhibiting amongst the dead. And then other people are kind of joining in and like, what? But there's a dead person in there right now. And it becomes this shouting match as like other people take up like what you're saying. And that's enough to at least get them kind of infighting and not really paying attention. The Bonaventures, however, are still kind of very frustrated and kind of pushing and getting very chesty with Chauncey. And you can see that there's the woman who has the blood in her hand is like, has a crowd around her and they're talking to her as well. What is Chauncey doing in this situation?
What was the name of the family again? That like this is the spot for their honor dead.
So the whole wing of martyrs is all nobles who have fallen,
okay.
but within this big, like upper echelon area, where the dead body is, not where you guys are, because you guys are at the entrance, but by where the dead body is, it's specifically. I keep wanting to say the Danucci's because I have family.
But he's got no way of knowing that.
It's the Carnuccios. There we go.
Okay. Like I was planning on stirring shit against the Bonaventures anyways. So if Chauncey if this isn't clearly and obviously for that family, he won't get into that. But I had already planned on doing some use of my salacious rumors.
Okay.
And basically he'll kind of like it's perfect that Fortuna went first because she kind of gets people to she kind of starts the sway of the emotion of the crowd to go one way, and then he'll try to find he's good at finding the right person in the crowd to kind of like spread something.
Okay.
I'll just say, of course, it's just like the Bonaventures to put on a grand display of something so vulgar, so despicable. This is supposed to be a holy day, but to them, the world is a play. Look at what they're doing. You know that they've manufactured this.
Okay.
Horrible, detestable people. How could they?
So you spend that point, and you lay the seed, and it starts weaving throughout. You can almost visualize like the gossip as it like courses through like this crowd of like several dozen people. Like there's more than 100.
Like maybe
there's
the one girl in the crowd that he's seen flirt with a noble that he knows that she'll spread it to him, and like little things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Perfect.
And so at that, I'm going to say like the crowd, those that pick up the rumor, like they kind of cut off the Bonaventures and they kind of get in their face. It's just like, on a day like this, could you not set aside the differences? This is the day when all nobility comes together. All of us come together to commemorate putting down the rabid, filthy commoners who tried to uplift themselves and take all that we have worked for today of all days. And so all these different like lesser noble groups are like shouting down this little contingent of Bonaventures, and you prevent them from going in and joining the rest of the Tomas. We're going to cut back.
About this, Chauncey.
I'm very excited about this campaign because you guys are the rich nobles.
We are.
It's so
We are the
delightful.
Yeah, so good.
Like, are we the bad? Yeah, we're the bad.
We're the bad guys.
Okay. So back inside, as Arkadiy, you find like a path leading deeper into this wing. Vincent, you see this ghostly figure hiding behind these statues. You feel your hood come up, kind of protecting you. And Solavita, you're examining the body. You hear Solavita right next to you. The sound of Tomas say, do you think you would know him? He's the type of guy that younger, early 30s. He's kind of like the equivalent of you in terms of status, the family.
We've been forced to the same events. We've been forced to acknowledge each other.
Okay.
We don't talk much.
So he says, as he's like peering at the dagger, correct me if I'm wrong, Solavita, but this appears to be, as he reaches his hand up and like sweeps back like a bit of blood on the pommel, revealing a fox emblem that looks exactly like what Chauncey described. The dagger of a Mainwallen! And he says it like so loud that it kind of like echoes through like these hallowed halls. And like you could see on the ground the Carnuccios who are like picking up the statue and piecing it together. And they look up. What did you say? And like they're looking at all of you. Who does what?
Well,
you guys want to
I do see something interesting on the body here, and I'll pull and reveal the tattoo.
Okay. And so you reveal the tattoo, and like
This seems bad work for a nobleman. Is he really one of yours?
And so this tall man stands up from when you could see tears in his eyes, and he looks at you. He looks at Tomas, he looks at the dagger, he looks at the tattoo. And he like turns to you, Solavita, and he just says, on today of all days, The day that honors our families when they came together finally to do the bidding of Denari. You would desecrate this day with your pettiness. You would bring this creature, and he like motions back towards Vincent, and you can see like his ire is growing, into these halls. You would destroy the statue of our most beloved ancestor. Vengeance will be had. Honor will be taken. And you can see he just draws this sword, and like the two like that are in the black, like the black cloaks around him start drawing it as well. And we're gonna test out some combat rules at this point.
Yes, we are.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Do we at least get a description of the tattoo before this one?
I'm gonna hold off on that for a minute,
all right.
because it could be important. So I'm gonna hold off on that for a minute, and we
Reasons.
might do a little. There's reasons for that, but yeah. Okay, let me switch
If
over.
you have
and do
eyes
some-
left to see the tattoo.
Yeah, we'll see.
Draw swords on you.
my.
I've seen
I
the
want it
tattoo,
on.
so it's the life left to be able to do
The
anything
brain
about
power
it.
left to process what it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little. All I really got like for good like thematic combat music is like pirate music.
Also, how dare he accuse me of hurting a statue? Me of all people, please.
Sure.
You of all people.
I
You're a main
know.
one.
Farthest
You're a main
from
one.
the truth.
You brought this guy who literally nuked the parade 12 years ago, and yeah.
You personally
Okay.
brought him. You personally.
Personal bro. All right. So let's talk for a second about how combat works in this game. So in terms of turn order, so everyone gets a turn, everyone does something, etc. There are ranges that aren't really going to come into play currently. I would say all of you in this wing are kind of within close range of each other, so you can very easily move and attack and all that kind of stuff. Chauncey and Fortuna, you, however, are further away. I'm going to put you probably at medium range, which would be like 40 meters away or so. So like you could potentially see them if you peeked, but you're not particularly close. The particular area around you is a alcove or sort of a section of this necropolis with all these statues. And again, there are lots of statues around. And like Solvita would know, to break a funerary statue is a major crime. So the fact that this is here, because it suggests this notion that like the soul of this departed is no longer in Denari's heaven or could be pulled away or anything like that. Now, the initiative is popcorn, if y'all are familiar with popcorn. So essentially I get to dictate, usually circumstances, who goes first. And then whoever goes, they pick the next person to go. So like if I said Arkadiy goes first, Arkadiy can pick who goes next. He can either pick from you all, or he can pick from the enemies. And what this means is that it's possible once everyone goes that if you wait for like there's like a little bit of decision making, you have to decide, do you just try to get all your turns in before the enemy goes, or if you don't kill them all, that means they're basically going to get 2 turns in a row, because like when it wraps back around. So there's that. In terms of combat, like basically it's sorcery, sway, or warfare are kind of your 3 combat abilities, combat attack abilities. Sorcery, obviously, for magical stuff. Sway is more like, intimidation, misdirection, however you want to flavor it. And warfare, more for your traditional fighty. Okay. I'm not going to say that there was really surprise here. I'm also going to say, because Arkadiy was specifically using Vigilant, I'm going to say that Arkadiy, I will actually say you can probably go first. Like this is sort of your gig.
Okay. So as soon as the sword gets drawn, you see Arkadiy's hands whip behind his back, and these 2 short swords come out. He's like, and he's just looking at the fellow. He's like, "Do you think this is actually the best of ideas?" As he comes in to slash at him, and I am going to spend a point of tactics of death to get 2 actions, and I'm going to attack him twice.
Okay. So I want to clarify there are 3 targets, assuming Tomas doesn't join the fray. There is the man that you would know as Philippe, and then there are his 2 house guards that are with him. Tomas is here, but he doesn't seem to be a combatant as of yet. So that's who's here. Okay, so you're spending that. I am going to. I also have an ability that I can use at any time. As he sees you charging in at him, as he was going to go for Sola Vita, I'm going to use his defensive boost, which will essentially give him +3 to his health and morale thresholds for the rest of the round, as he sees Arkadiy charging in at him.
Okay, I will. So as I prepare to attack, I will spend 4 warfare on my first attack.
Okay. So the way the game works, then, so that for everybody knows, it's still a D6 roll. Arkadiy's spending 4 warfare, which means that's the bonus on his to hit. But if he hits, it's also the minimum damage roll that he would get when we get to damage rolls. Okay. You are actually looking for, because of this, you tell me what you roll and I'll tell you whether you hit.
I got a 6 on the die for a 10 in total.
A 10 is a hit. Okay, so that is definitely a hit.
Roll.
That is 3 above, so you could potentially trigger your cleave talent if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will definitely. So he comes in, and he's not trying to kill this guy. He's just trying to get him to stop. So it's like a slice along the inside of his sword arm, and then he reverses around and smacks one of his guards in the head with the pommel of one of the short swords.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's your damage. What was your minimum? What was the amount of points you spent
Minimum was
against?
4.
Okay, so you could take you could roll the d6 and see if you get a 5 or a 6, or you could just take the 4 and take your +1 from your weapons. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll just take the 4. We'll just go with 5.
So it's going to be 5 points of damage to both of them.
And I do because of my because of spot frailty, I ignore 2 points of armor.
Good to know, because they do actually have 1 point of armor, so that does mean that you are getting all of that damage goes through. So the first house guard, as he kind of fumbles through, he doesn't quite get the sword up in time to parry, and you catch him right at the right time. Philippe was kind of going for Sola Vita and then realized that Arkadiy was here and quickly whirls around, but doesn't whirl around fast enough. He's able to partially, maybe just to keep it from killing, for being a more powerful blow, but he nonetheless takes a little bit of damage as well. Sorry, just getting all this set up. Looking at my stat blocks. Okay, all right. So that is your first action. You get a second action.
Yep. So for my second action, I'm going to. He feints towards the noble and then strikes at the second guard.
Okay, the one that hasn't been hurt yet?
Correct, the one that hasn't been hit yet.
Gotcha.
3 on the die, and I didn't spend any points because I forgot to, so yeah.
Okay, so the second one misses. I'll say, it's close quarters now, as they all have their weapons out, and so they're able to move. Like, house guards they're good at what they do if they're paid well. They're not members of the family themselves the way that Philippe is. So that's something to consider. Okay.
And he says, Philippe, Lord, desist in this. We must figure out what has actually happened here. This attack will not serve either family. But he will choose to let Philippe go.
Okay. All right. He will. Normally, if you were to say your second action was that, you could have rolled a sway, lower the morale. But right now, I think he's
crap. So
yeah, I think he's incensed. He sees the shattered funerary statue of his own matriarch of generations ago on the ground. He sees he is bleeding. You're bleeding, and he says. In Denari's name, we will not stand for this. And I think he is going to. I'm going to go all out because it's fun. He is going to. Let's see.
What you got?
So you guys have abilities. I have what's called Malice, which is sort of like an all-purpose ability pool that I can tap into things. And some of these folks have like very special abilities and such that I'm spending kind of like you guys are. So
I am going to spend 1 point of prophecy to get 4 points of armor.
Sure, for sure. That's good.
Wow.
Good, because he's about to attack you. Okay. I am going to spend... I'm trying to calculate how much I need to spend here. So I was down to 9 on that. I'm going to spend 6 more... No. No, I'm not going to spend on that. I'm going to spend Malice to get bonuses on the attack. So I'm going to spend 3 of my Malice to get a bonus to this attack. Okay, and he's going after you, Arkadiy. As he like lunges forward, he has more like a rapier kind of weapon, like fast and quick, and so he kind of lunges forward. And so I have so 1d6 plus 3. I did in fact roll a 6. That's a lolly on the die already. That's 9.
Oh dear.
What is your threshold?
Well, my armor is only 5. My health threshold is 4, so you definitely hit. I mean,
okay, so that is technically a critical hit. So this is going to. I'm already taking people out. I didn't mean to do that. Okay.
Oh gosh.
No, he's fine. He's got a ton of armor. He'll reduce a lot of this. Okay, so crits are when you score 5 or more higher than the threshold, and essentially grants an extra d6 of damage die. Is essentially what it is. So his damage would normally be 1d6 plus 1, but now it's going to be 2d6 plus 1. One of these dies is a minimum of 3. So there's going to be 10 points of damage, but you have 5 armor, you said?
Yep.
So that mitigates 5 of it. So you take 5 health damage coming to you.
Yeah, that hurt.
So, yeah. Now in this game, like, as long as you're in the positive when it comes to health and morale, you're okay. It's when you get into the negative that things get bad. Okay, so that is his turn. He will give his action to House Guard A, which is the one that you attacked. And actually, you hit with the cleave.
Uh-oh.
He's going to go after Vincent, and he'll say, "Abomination!" And he will lunge after Vincent. His sword is less elegant. It's a little bit more bulky. And I will spend 2 points to get my bonus. So I'll get 1d6 plus 2, Vincent. That is a 6 total. So that would be a hit, I believe. Is that correct, Vincent?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, okay. So I want to make sure. And then damage is going to be 3 plus 1. It's going to be 4 points of damage. Do you have any armor?
No, I don't have armor, so it's going to go straight through.
Okay. So as you're staring at this ghost, you hear this cacophony come around you, and before you realize it, someone has slashed through you. Because I want to be a little bit more dramatic with this, I'm going to say it's your turn, Vincent. I'm going to give the turn to you. I still have my other house guard to go. So Vincent, is your turn.
12 years since my first Tiebreakers Day. Is bloodshed the tradition now? And then I think I'll activate some sorcery.
Okay.
Oh.
So there's 2 different kinds of sorcery, sort of. Like there's the sorcery that taps into corruption and does really good damage, but also really bad things. And then there's the sorcery that's just like you're flavoring your attacks with sorcery and you're just kind of showing some kind of stuff. So,
yeah, just a simple sorcery ability in general.
Okay.
I'll use my... What spheres did I make again? I have
Chains
tears.
Was one, I think, and
tears.
tears.
Yeah, I have Sphere of Tears. So I'm already crying, so the pool of tears will create like a ball of water. I'll just shoot towards them.
Okay. So you need to roll sorcery. Before you roll, decide if you want to spend any points. The points you spend will be your modifier to the roll, but also can be your minimum damage or your minimum damage roll if you hit.
I'll spend 3.
Okay. And are you targeting the main man Philippe, or are you targeting the guy who attacked you?
The guy that slashed me.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and give your roll then. Let us know how you do.
Roll a 2 with 3 spend is a 5.
Okay, that's going to hit. Does your sorcery target morale or does it target health?
I made the opposite of Solovita's, so I forget what she made.
I took statuary, which means I'm always doing health, so you're moral.
Okay, so you're hitting... Okay.
Yeah, when my tears hit them, he starts crying too. Unexpectedly.
Okay. You just make everyone sad. That's your attack.
So fun.
you can't hit me if you're crying.
I'm making you emo. No, you.
That's so
okay.
fun.
So what's the total damage?
I'm not crying. You're crying.
How do I tally that?
So normally it would be a d6 plus 1, but because you spent points, the minimum roll of the d6 is going to be whatever amount of points you spent.
I spent 3 and I rolled a 2.
Okay, so 3 is what you take. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So you do 4 points of damage to this guy. Okay.
Cool.
There's also other ways to like boost up damage and stuff, but like spending investigative. I don't know if you guys want to do that or not. It's up to you. But this is just the first fight. So, okay. What does it look like? He's not down, but you get him to the point where he looks like he's almost ready to quit. like what does it look like?
Yeah, this giant ball of tears goes hurling towards his face, and all of a sudden he's crying, but doesn't know why he's sad.
I'm sorry, Philippe. The monster has insulted me. As he weeps.
It'll be all right.
And then, Vincent, who would you like to go next? You have your choices. Solovita right near you. Chauncey and Fortuna are still in this. They're further away, so they probably, they could do stuff potentially. But Fortuna or Chauncey, or there is the second house guard who hasn't gone. So what would you like to do?
Yeah, I'll pop it over to Chauncey.
Okay.
Chauncey, you hear the sounds of the voice of Philippe echoing down. He spoke and yelled it loud. There are people in the front here, despite the fact that there's this cacophony of arguments happening now because of what you did, because of what Fortuna did. But you can see that there is a section of the crowd now that has heard that and has heard him make these claims. And you can see that there's folks in the crowd that are looking at you and looking at Fortuna, and like there's this anger overcoming them. They're not actively coming at you, but you also hear the sounds of fighting back by the way.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
I want to double down on being a crowd playing dick. And I want to play victim here. I want to use my taunt to try and get one of these Bonaventures to attack me. And I don't know that your personal items really do anything, statistically wise, but I have the peace-bound sword of poor Aloysius, my second cousin's husband, who died nobly, refusing to fight. And I want to taunt them into attacking, but make a public display that I refuse to fight back in honor of this dead, wonderful man. And I want to play victim and have them attack me publicly.
Okay. So you want to try to lure a Bonaventure into a fight?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. But I refuse to fight back in honor of my dead family member.
Okay. So are you looking to use, this is sway as I hear it. Like you're trying to, or no, taunt. I'm sorry. You said taunt.
I do have taunt.
Okay.
So I'm willing to roll sway either way, but I'm
no. If you just want to make a spend on taunt, it happens. Everything you just said.
Because I want it to be big and public because I crave drama. I want this to be something that people talk about later.
Okay. So, what is it you say? Make your spend. Tell us what you say, and it exactly happens the way you want it to happen.
Okay. I want it to be something under my breath to one of them, because I've already played to the crowd one way. It's like, I don't even really care if you did do anything. I just want you to look like a goddamn fool, you pox-marked piece of shit.
He turns to you. What did you call me? And you can see like there's others who are like, no, Henry, no. And he pulls his sword out and he starts to swing. Do you want to give him the go next?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know you tell me to defend myself, but I refuse to disparage your honor.
So he pulls out the sword and you're going to get attacked.
Okay. And I have a high enough athletics that I actually have the ability to dodge attacks.
That's actually great.
So that's why I taunted him.
Okay. Excellent. So in this game, for those of you who are listening, if you get to 8 in a general ability, there's usually a talent of some kind. That's why Arkadiy was able to cleave and hit a second person. So dodge, you can try to dodge or parry attacks against your health after you've successfully been attacked, but before your full rolls damage, you can spend at least 1 point of athletics and then roll an athletic test. And you have to exceed the attacker's successful result if their result was a... Okay. So, so they're going to roll. I'll spend... Oh, God. I'm going to spend 2 points of malice to give him a +2 on this.
Excellent.
Okay, so it's a... Here we go. So that's a 5 to hit. 5 to hit. Does that hit?
I apologize. I'm not quite sure what my...
It hits all of you unless you've done something specifically to increase your threshold.
Your threshold.
Oh, my threshold. Okay, so yes, that would absolutely hit.
So now your dodge would trigger before I roll damage, so you can spend a point of athletics.
Okay.
Then you roll an athletics test, and you have to exceed the attacker's successful result. So I rolled a 5, so you need to get a 6 or higher. So it is exceed. Okay. It's not equal to or exceed. It's exceed. So you can spend athletics points. You can spend athletics points now as well to give yourself a modifier too.
Because I have an idea of what I want this to absolutely succeed. So I will spend in total 6 athletic points, 1 for the spend, 5 to automatically succeed this, because I want it to turn into a big thing if he's chasing me around where I refuse to defend myself and I'm ducking and weaving between the different statues. And this bastard, he's swinging at these honored statues. How could he? The monster. Oh my God.
That sounds like an amazing setup for next round for a sway attack. Like that kind of stuff, because that's the type of thing that probably a sway attack would be. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. With your spend, then you don't take any damage, and you start running deeper into the this area and dodging through these statues. And he's swinging. He's so mad, and you can hear people shouting like, "No! What's wrong with you? Have you lost all sense?
You monster! Stop!"
Okay, I'm going to then give it over to Fortuna as like this little scene's playing out. I'm gonna say you see Chauncey getting chased inside. You hear the crowd is getting a little crazy now. Some of them have heard the proclamations of Philippe that your family was responsible for this somehow. So like you can tell that is starting to like combat. Now you guys have laid great groundwork to like keep them from immediately jumping into it. That's why I'm not even throwing mooks of crowd mobs at you yet. But you never know how long that'll last. What would Fortuna like to do?
So what do we know the name of this person that Chauncey is engaged with? Is he a named individual?
I would say you are all probably familiar with the higher, like with the more renowned, or at least people that you, people who go in the same circles as you, or people who are particularly powerful. Do you have points as an enemy in ancient nobility?
I have points as an ally in nobility.
Okay. I would say you would know. Okay, well, I don't see any reason to belabor this. This is Matteo Bonaventure. Nothing. Okay. He's a third cousin of a distant aunt that somehow is in the fold. Really grunt work and such for a noble, anyway.
Okay, so Fortuna then, knowing that this is Matteo, would know that Matteo's mother's name is Maria. And so she is going to go into full-on, Matteo, your mother would be so disgraced to see your behavior on these grounds. I cannot believe that this is the behavior. So disgraceful. So... full on sway. Okay. Do you want to spend any points before you roll to give yourself a muff? It's fantastic. I'm going to spend 2 on this.
Okay. So
We're going full on Italian. Don't disgrace your mother.
Oh yeah.
gotta use your hands more. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's what my family does. It's my
I have a
time.
tendency to do that when I talk with
I
my
know.
hands on stream.
I'm literally going through like my mom's side of the family to get various names and such. It's so fantastic. We're super Italian on that side. Okay.
So unfortunately, I only rolled a 2, and I spent a 2, which means
That's
that only
enough.
gets to a 4.
That's all you need. His morale threshold is 4. You're doing a sway attack, so you're targeting morale threshold. He has a 4. You hit. Okay, so now you get to roll damage. D6 plus 1. Your minimum on that D6 is a 2 since you spent 2 points. There are other things you could potentially do. Like we could talk about this. I think it's good to talk through it a little bit slower so that we can figure out how to do these things later. But like there's things you could do if you wanted to increase damage. There's various investigate. So you could potentially burn like an investigative point to get an extra damage die if you wanted to. You didn't do a high enough to get like a critical hit or anything like that, but you could potentially spend some kind of investigative point that you think would be contributing to this.
Now, would this be a 1 to... is this a 1 to 3 ratio? So if I spend like one ability, or is it just a 1 to 1?
It's a straight +3. So like if you did a spend and say like...
I was thinking nobility maybe, like kind of playing into this.
Yeah, I would take that for sure. Because you're specifically referencing his mother, you're referencing all this noble processes. If you wanted to spend a point in ability, you can get +3 to this damage.
Okay. And so then it would be the 2 that I had before, so then it would be 5.
Okay. Okay. You can roll a d6 to see if you roll higher than your 2, by the way. That's just the minimum that you would get.
Is 2.
So, yeah.
I rolled a 3. So the 3 plus 3 is 6 then.
Okay, 6 total. Okay. He pauses. He doesn't actively run away, but he pauses for a second and he looks back at you, and you can see for a moment you have wounded him as he realizes now. And then the anger retakes. How dare you take my mother's name in your filthy mouth? And then he hesitates to decide which way he wants to chase. Does he chase you after saying, like, taking his mother's name, or does he go to Chauncey? But essentially, you have chunked him significantly in his morale, but he has still got a little bit left. Okay, who would you like to go next? Still to go are Sola Vita and House Guard B for Barry.
Yeah, I was going to say House Guard B.
Okay, because that means he wouldn't go. Otherwise, I could potentially like whip it around and have them go twice. Okay. He has 3 targets, Arkadiy, Vincent, and Sola Vita. He sees that Philippe has Arkadiy taken care of. He sees that that House Guard A, Antonio, has Vincent taken care of. And so that just means that there is Sola Vita. And so he will lunge in the direction of Sola Vita, and he will attempt an attack. Okay. So I'm going to do a malice spend to get a little bonus, because this is fun. All right. And then, okay, that's a 6 to hit.
I have no armor.
That's fine. So I spent 2, which means that my minimum roll on this is going to be a 2, which I also rolled. So this is a total of 3 points of damage to Sola Vita. You have no armor, so you take all of that, and it's all health.
Yes.
Okay, so slashes, like, again, the guards have a little bit more bulky, slower swords. You can tell Philippe is the one that has like the more kind of advanced weaponry, but he slashes out at you, and now there is this tight quarters. There's statues, these funerary statues that like the smallest tip could knock into one of them, but there is this scuffle that's happening, and all the while, like, Thomas Bonaventure is just like there, kind of watching it from the corner, and Vincent, you can see the ghost behind the statues as well, peering at this. And then it comes to you, Sola Vita. You're the last one to go.
I was really hoping not to go before he attacked me, but okay. I'm going to. I'm going to try to kind of like slip away from him and go towards Thomas. So I guess stealth. Can I like slip between some statues and I believe blend into the shadows, or would it be more burglary, which is kind of like running away from people?
I'm fine, honestly, with either. I think stealth, since you're specifically just trying to move, sounds about right. Burglary might involve like something more than just movement. So in this case, you're just trying to slip away into the shadows. I'm fine with it. Let me see. I don't really. Yeah, he doesn't really have anything major for an alertness modifier. So yeah, just a stealth roll for you with a difficulty of 4.
Okay, I'm going to use 2 of my stealth. I'm going to spend 2 of my stealth, and I will roll a 6 for a total of, I guess, 8.
Okay,
Nice.
and you successfully slink away into the shadows as he's like whirling around, slashing. Maybe he gets bumped into by one of the other combatants, and he looks back, giving you time to slip off into the shadows. And now, first round's done. We cycle back to you, and you get another turn.
And then I'm going to go towards Thomas, and I'll kind of like grab him where he's cowering.
I don't like you. You don't like me. We have a moment because they're all distracted in combat. I know something about the body. You know something about the dagger. Obviously, we don't. I've never seen this dagger before in my life, but you have. And I know my family hasn't done it, but I'm suspicious of how quickly Federico is happy to point fingers at us, no? And this is a curiosity for me. So
Okay.
let's chalk.
Okay. So is this sort of like the flavor conversation, or are you attempting to like actually like converse with him with a world? Like, are you trying to go for a specific effect, or if this is just like us role playing the scene?
It's more, I'm not really going for effect. I'm just trying to see if I can grab information on the dagger from him in exchange for kind of like, I know that this body ingested poison. It's probably died before it got stabbed kind of thing.
Okay. So if we're not going to make it into a mechanical, he will shout then, "Help! They're turning their attention to me! She's trying to kill me, Philippe! Please! Our family!"
Oh, you are such an asshole. Oh my god. All right, fine.
And so now
Don't
you
be
get, so we'll
liars.
start up
They're
the new
the worst.
round. We'll start a new round, and you get to lead off as you get right. I think you lead off, or you get to pick who goes first.
You
or
get to
something
pick
like
who
that.
goes first, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily have to be you that goes first. You can pick whoever you want now. Everyone's open.
I'm gonna take the first turn. If I can just activate a little bit of sorcery and have the statue he's hiding behind like kick him and then resort back to its form.
Okay. Tomas?
Yeah.
Okay. I like how you're spending all your actions on a non-combatant in a combat. Wow.
Pissed me off.
Arkadiy is bleeding out. Vincent's bleeding.
Arkadiy's fine.
Chauncey.
Arkadiy's not fine.
He took a really big hit.
I'll heal you after.
Okay.
Sort of.
He's got to live through it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Levita, you're trying to. So you're trying to you're just trying to attack Tomas. You're trying to. Okay.
I'm just being an asshole to Tomas. Yes.
So you're doing sorcery then. So give me a sorcery test. Difficulty to hit him is going to be his morale. Oh, right, no, your health. Your health with your.
I'm health. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll spend 2 points of sorcery for this as well. And I
Thomas
got
to the battle now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So a total of 6.
Okay, that definitely hits. And what does it look like as the statue? This isn't going to be the one that the dead body is hanging from, right? This is okay.
No, this is whichever one he's cowering behind. So it essentially like donkey kicks the leg out behind him, knocks Tomas out because he's a non-combatant maybe, and then stands back like normal.
He's not a mook. He's just wasn't in the combat until now. Okay. Now that you've attacked him, now he's in the combat. So you do damage to him as he turns around. You witch! And he kind of pulls out his own little dagger at this point. Okay.
Fair enough.
Oh no.
All right.
No.
Who would you like to go
This is
next?
bad.
Arkadiy.
There were 3. I just want to say, I put 3 combatants into the fight.
You did.
You
did.
all have put 2 combatants into the fight.
You know.
It's fine. Who cares? It's fun. Arkadiy, you're up.
Arkadiy looks over at Solovita and he shows you like, well, see,
It's a fun adventure. I don't like him.
and
Literally
I
the
don't
only
want
one
to
in
do
the
this,
room
but,
not attacking your friends or your
but
family.
Felipe hits like a tank, so
He does.
I'm going to spend a point of frailty to get +3 on this attack. And basically, I mean, he's looking, he's watching Felipe fight, and he's using, it's basically his prophecy, his vigilance, and he's seeing that one chink in his armor. And I'm going to spend 3 more warfare on it, so get a total of +6 on this attack.
All right, give it a roll. The thing is like his defenses are gone. Like defenses that disappeared because that was only for the first
good.
round.
That's
so
right,
it's
that's
back
right.
to
So-
normal.
I got a 5 on the die, so an 11 in total.
His health threshold is 4, so you've beaten it. You could crit if you would like to crit, or you can activate your talent, and you would be able to activate your talent cleave twice. It's up to you. You can't do both, so everyone knows that you can't crit and use a AoE talent at the same time. It's one
I'll
or the other.
cleave twice. I'll hit all
that's
3
nice.
of them. Him and his 2 guards.
Okay, what is the total damage that you would have?
7. 6 on the die, 7 in total.
Okay. So let me double check. Okay. That will take out the first house guard that you had gotten on your first cleave. It will not finish off Philippe entirely, but you will definitely see he is winded and labored now. The other house guard who has sort of been chasing, like looking around for Solovita at that point, and then sees as she appears in the darkness, and Tomas like draws his attention to where she is hiding now. As he goes to move towards her, you're able to get him as well. So why don't you describe what it looks like as this like whirling dervish moment happens, Arkadiy?
Yeah, so it's he spots the weakness in Philippe's guard. So he uses his left hand short sword and he sweeps his blade up and he comes in and he just slices across his ribs and up into his armpit. And then he spins back and with that left hand blade, he disengages and slices the guard on the left. And then he rolls down through Philippe's legs, pops up, and gets the one that's overlooking at Solovita.
Beautiful. So you have rolled essentially your right, like, so now you are right behind the guard that is kind of chasing after Solovita. Vincent, the one that was attacking you, has fallen, and Philippe is bleeding, but not yet down. So Arkadiy, who would you like to go next?
We need to try to punch through this. So Vincent.
All right, Vincent. What would you like to do?
How many are remaining?
There are 2 in here. I would say you're probably not aware of what's that there is a extra bot adventure. You might hear voices shouting, but it might not be as like clear now that you're in the heat of battle. But there's 2 in here. There's Philippe himself, and then one of his guards who is chasing after Solovita. Technically Tomas too, if you want to say Tomas.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Okay.
He was
But
a jerk.
Philippe is the killer.
Seeing that my attention's freed from the guy in front of me because he fell. Target Philippe with some sorcery. So I'll activate Spear of Chains. My chains that are shackled around my wrists, they'll grow in size or elongate and start binding their arms and legs together.
Okay, so do you want to do a maneuver in this situation, which could apply some kind of effect with these chains, or are you looking to just purely attack? If you were to attack, I would say you're going to be depleting his morale pool, which is not, he hasn't taken any morale hits yet. Or you can just try to do a maneuver, and a maneuver would kind of, there's examples I put in the rules and resources,
disarmed, or
but you can do lots of stuff like that if you want.
That sounds interesting. I'll do some maneuvers.
Okay, so we could do like a restrain if your chains are going around. That makes perfect sense. You can also do strangle. So it's up to you. You can either effectively you can control their movement. They can take health damage. I don't know if they could take health damage since yours are specifically targeting morale.
That's
morale.
right.
Yeah.
So what you basically do is it's the same process. You still roll your attack, your sorcery attack. So your D6, you spend whatever sorcery points you want to spend to make the roll.
Okay, I'll spend 3 again.
Okay. So D6 plus 3.
Same roll, 5.
All right. So the way that maneuvers work is that once you roll, your roll sets the difficulty. And so the difficulty is like for him, he has to now make a decision. Does he accept what the effect is going to be, meaning he's restrained and he basically can't move, or does he take damage? And if he takes damage, he takes it at the difficulty -2. In this case, I like the fact that you're wrapping the change. I think he's a little wounded, and I think maybe he's less likely to sort of punch through this. So instead, I think I'm gonna say the chains wrap around, and you see as he gets very panicked as he sees your creations wrap around him. Okay. So Vincent, who would you like to go?
Send it to Chauncey again.
All right, Chauncey, what would you like to do, buddy?
I know exactly what I want to do, because the first thing when I saw this game, the first thing I wanted to get was ridiculous luck. And I intentionally set that dude up to be swinging at me amidst these statues of the honored dead. I would love to spend a point of ridiculous luck. That poor bastard accidentally knocks one over. It falls over, and kind of like a little domino thing, like maybe a couple of statues get knocked over because of this guy. In front of the crowd, he knocks over these statues of the honored dead. And of course, Chauncey will just eat that up and play to the crowd.
Might I make a suggestion? Make it a sway attack. Spend the point of ridiculous luck to get +3 on the attack to sort of like, as you're talking to him, he gets distracted and like bumps into the statue. And I'll say, like, for every point of ridiculous luck that you want to spend, that's how many statues he breaks. So if you spend 1 point, he breaks 1 statue, which is a very terrible thing to do, especially with all these witnesses. But if you really wanted to, like...
Oh, I want to fuck the Bonaventure so hard.
This is very low-level guy. This is very low-level guy.
It's not about him. It's about family.
Okay.
Not just about family, it's about
Jared,
fucking
high five
his
on
family.
hitting the Bonaventure for no reason. Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm gonna
Here's the
spend
fight, guys.
all the 3 points. I'm gonna spend 3 points.
shit.
That poor bastard is responsible for breaking 3 statues.
Oh my goodness.
It's like because Chauncey craves drama. In fact, can I tap into that? Like that's one of my drives.
Yeah, so tapping into drive, I don't think you need to in this case.
I probably don't need
like
to,
mechanically, but I like that you're doing it. So just describe what the drive is.
Yeah, but like everybody's got a handful of drives. Like I crave attention, I crave approval, and I crave drama.
And they give you
at this
+1,
point,
like once per adventure or something?
I just want this to be something that gets talked about for years and years to come. Like, oh my God, do you remember the time that was his name? Mateo, that villain, that blackguard knocked down all those statues? I want this to ruin him.
You're spending 3 points. Never mind. You don't need to make a roll. This is just going to happen. So what is it you say to him that gets him so incensed that he comes after you, but he stumbles and like bumps into these statues? What is it you say?
Let's be honest. You know that Maria's not even your real mother. You're the son of a whore. You're a worthless piece of shit. All of you Bonaventures, I'm a half-blood. You're nothing. You're scum. You're villainy. And the whole town's going to know it soon. Oh, no, please don't hurt me, Mateo. Oh, no. Oh, no, Mateo, don't. Please don't.
Dare you? Maria Bonaventure is a saint! Ah! And he goes to charge in. He swings.
Saint of 3rd Street so much.
And he lops the head off one of these statues that plops down to the ground. And then you see the body of the statue tips into one of the others. And like you said, knocks 2 over with shatter on the ground. Fortuna, by the door, you hear, oh my goodness! And like, Mateo's, no, it was him! It was he the one!
You monster! That's you on this day of all days, Matteo Bonaventure, I curse your name! I curse the Bonaventure family! How dare you!
So he starts to run. He starts to flee. But as he bursts out the entrance to this mausoleum, there's this crowd, and the crowd starts to chase him. And so Fortuna, you watch as this mob of parade folk just start chasing this man back down this swirling road that you all came up with the parade. You can see floats that are bobbing. You hear the sounds of as various music starts to play, and people stumble over each other. And he's like, Maria Bonaventure, thank you, as he continues to run. Okay.
And Fortuna was part of that gasp. Fortuna was just so appalled that all of this is happening.
So amazing. I loved it so much. Okay. Who goes next then, Chauncey?
I'm going to toss it to Fortuna because I want to see Fortuna's reaction.
Okay.
And Fortuna, from where she had been, was just aghast at sort of what's happening. And then, as is always the way, her calculation is, did this help us? And watching everything that's happening, and this seemed to be effective, so she has to sort of look at Chauncey and just not shake her head at him, but acknowledge that was helpful in the moment.
Raves approval. Loving it.
I know. So
Chauncey
then
has a very particular set of skills that when used appropriately is just, it's brutal. Okay.
And it's sort of one of those things where kind of the perma-scowl is a little bit less of a scowl, and that's the same as a right big grin, basically. And so then I would say that Fortuna would then move towards the rest of the goings-on inside.
Okay. When you come around and you come down, I'll say medium. So essentially you can move effectively into close range at this point. And so close range isn't close enough to necessarily do a melee attack for you, but you could throw something. You could, if you have sorcery, you could do a sway attack. There's also things you could potentially do, but you're close enough now to essentially affect the moment. But what you see a guard bearing the colors of, I'm continually forgetting his name, of the I apologize, Carnuccio family. I keep wanting to say the Lucios. Don't worry about it. Okay, so the Carnuccio family on the ground bleeding. I'll let Arkadiy decide later whether he killed him or not, because you guys get to decide that. That's not an automatic. If you guys wanted to say you just wounded them to the point of near death. You see Vincent has wrapped his ethereal chains around Philippe, and you can see in the corner, fighting near yet another set of these funerary statues, is Solavita and Tomas and Arkadiy and another one of these guards. Now, you're in medium range, so there's things you could potentially do. So what would you like to do?
So what I wanted to try doing, as we're kind of trying stuff out,
yeah, for sure.
I wanted to try to do a teamwork attack.
Nice.
But I'm wondering who is left to go that I would be able to.
Solavita, I think, is the only one.
No, she went first.
She started.
Oh no, she started.
I went first.
And so
it goes to the bad guys after this.
I sucker punch. Yeah, you mean the good
That's
guys?
right.
I sucker punch the adventures.
Okay.
Okay, I want to make sure it's not the teamwork attack has to be this round. It's their next attack on the target, so it doesn't have to be this round. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing its next attack on the target. So you could still teamwork them up for the next round.
Okay. Because basically what I wanted to try to do is kind of do a distraction.
Sure.
So that whenever someone would be able to attack, actually, sorry, what might I be able to use? I can't do that. Sorry,
it would be
I was
sway.
going to do
More than likely it would be a sway attack.
Yeah, it would be a sway. Yeah. So I want to. It's going to either be, or I'll do Arkadiy. So I'll basically do a teamwork attack so that I will boost Arkadiy's damage next time.
All right. So what you still need to do is you still need to make your sway roll. You can spend your points however you see fit. And if you're successful, Arkadiy will get plus 1d6 to damage.
Okay. I'm burning through my sway.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. There are 3 refresh tokens, as you guys did take out one of the guards. I want to make sure it's 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3.
Oh, okay.
There are 3. Yeah. One of the house guards is 3 refresh tokens, and you technically defeated, what's his name? Matteo. So that's another 3. So there should be 6 refresh tokens now.
Nice.
So,
okay. Okay.
It's good. So I'm down to 1 warfare.
Okay.
General ones are going to be coming back. They encourage you to use them and kind of go mess with them.
Good. Use the game's economies. Okay. So then I'll spend 2 sway.
Yeah, long.
I mean, I'll use the game's economy.
This is true. This is true.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Long as it appears. Okay. So I am going to basically come in and kind of what I'm imagining is that I sort of came in from a different location. So kind of just me coming in and I'm going to do sort of the melodramatic, like, what are we doing on this day? This is not a day for this. What is happening? And just being melodramatic and just try to get their attention to her enough so that next time Arkadiy does an attack, that there will be kind of the benefit.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. Give us a roll against their morale threshold.
So I rolled a 1.
You spend any points?
I did spend 2. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your total?
3.
3 is they do have 3 morale. They have 4 health and 3 morale. So that is still a success for a morale. So that does mean that when Arkadiy goes to attack, he will get an extra d6 on his damage as he gets distracted. However, it is this guy's turn, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Let me double check this. I think so. Yeah, I think it is his. Because none of my guys have gone in the second turn.
No, yeah,
right?
yeah. All of your guys are still up.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
Does she choose who goes, or do you choose?
She gets to choose. It's either going to be Philippe or the guard. That's the only people that are left.
Yeah, I can't choose other than that because it's just whoever's left in the round. So I don't know that it matters who goes next. Like it's bad guy and bad guy. So I don't have a preference.
Whoa. You guys have already gone.
This is true. Okay. It is Philippe or guard.
Bad
and
or
I don't
bad
think it matters which is which.
Do you have a preference?
Philippe.
Okay. So you've got these chains wrapped around him, Vincent. He really can't do anything. So I think what...
Can you make an athletics check to break?
I think that's all he's going to do, yeah. It's just sort of make an athletics. So I'm going to spend... I don't have a lot of malice left of him, so I'm going to go ahead and do it to give me some bonuses on this roll. I think the difficulty was originally 5, so my target is a 5 on this. So I spent 3 of his last malice, so I got a couple left. Rolled a 4, so he does break free. So that's a 7 total. So he, sorcerer, and he manages to burst. So what does it look like as he breaks free them, Vincent? Like what happens to them once they get shattered?
Yeah, the etherealness of it fades, shatters. It shrinks back to its original size towards me.
And so he, greetings, blasphemous. And you can see he's just like breathing really heavy at this point. His guard will go next. I think they're going to go after Vincent. I think he's going to turn and he's going to see that Vincent has attacked his charge, right? So he's going to try to intersperse himself between Vincent and his charge. So he's going to actually ignore Arkadiy, and he's going to attempt to attack Vincent. Okay. Just double checking. All right, I can spend 2. All right, so I have a +2 to this roll. That's a 6 total. So Vincent, as he tries to disperse himself, he is going to do 3 plus 1, 4 points of damage.
And the 4 goes through cleanly.
Okay. And then it is my turn at the start of the round. And so I get to go again. He looks around. I think Philippe looks around and he sees like this has become this horrific tragedy. And he looks at you all. He's dripping, he's bleeding. He puts his hand up on his guard. And he says to you all, enough of this. I will take your deeds today, and I will tell the Inquisitors what you have done, monster.
You started this attack, my old. You fell into a classic trap that the peasants have clearly laid for our noble families. They broke the statue that belongs to you. They killed the Bonaventure, and they put our dagger in his heart so the 3 families here would go to war against one another, to spit on this holy day. And we have fallen right into their trap.
Give me a sway test. That's really good. Give me a sway test.
Thanks, Aaron.
Can I, well, I don't. All right, come on, please, baby. A 6. I shit you not. I would take a picture.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That gives him pause. And he looks at you and his eyes like kind of dart over towards Tomas. And he looks down. He looks at his statue. That may be true. That may be false. There will be an inquiry. Main Warlins, there will be an inquiry.
This is good. I mean, I ask you, would I allow Fortuna, the heir apparent to my family, to be here if this was set up as some reason to upset both you and the Bonaventures? I would not allow her to be anywhere near this. You definitely take it to the Inquisitors. This must be completely investigated, because I tell you now, none of our families had anything to do with this.
And he narrows his eyes, but he takes his sword and he slides it back into his scabbard. And he like taps the guy whose hand his shoulder is on, who does the same. Bends down to like lift up the other guard and kind of fire.
Yeah, I just knocked him out. I didn't kill.
And you hear like, and they start backing away. You will be hearing from us.
Excellent. By the way, Philippe, excellent swordsmanship. You're a top-notch fighter. Very good.
And he stops for a second and then just nods. And then they turn and they go. They pass by Chauncey. Chauncey, you see them. You see them passing by you. There's statues on the ground.
Yeah. Chauncey, actually, I know we're kind of done with it, but I would almost want to take.
Now.
I don't know if it requires an actual spend, but I do have a point in nobility.
Okay.
Actually, I want to pick up the head of the chopped off statue. Poor Ulrich. You were before my time, but I feel like in spirit I knew you well. And just play to the crowd, looking very especially to the commoners, like make himself look very noble.
There's very few people left. They all were chasing.
Doesn't matter.
But your crowd is definitely Philippe and his guards as he passes by and he pauses and looks at you. You are an odd one, Chauncey Mainwallen. And he continues off. What do we do about Tomas? As Solavita, you've got him kind of cornered. He's got his knife out. He's like,
I wasn't part of this. I wasn't part of this at all. I was not part of this. I had nothing to do with this. You attacked me.
Well, you're an asshole, so I think that's fair.
If we were to attack everyone for being an asshole, the entire neighborhood would be in flames.
Well, fine. Okay. I will tell you this just to make peace. You look at his mouth. You can tell he's been poisoned. Maybe before the stabbing.
He looks up and he sees.
You have a keen eye, Solavita.
Yes. this is what I wanted to exchange, but we do what we have.
Am I free to go, or
Yes,
Is your
yes.
pet
I'm not
sorcerer?
your guard.
He slowly steps away.
I
I
mean,
have to
look,
report this
Yes.
death to my family. This is one of ours.
who is this?
One of Alessandro's cousins. I assume. I don't.
Are you sure it's not like someone dressed up like one of yours? I'm sorry to say again, but the work on the tattoo is not good. Not of noble quality. I would not expect Bonavita. Bonaventures are a proper, sort of, we are rivals properly. I would expect greater of you as I would hope you would expect greater of me than this shoddy tattoo.
I expect nothing but treachery.
Okay,
from
yes,
you.
yes. So, Lysandra...
So he backs away. And I'm going to say we'll end that combat scene and we'll end the first session with you all having successfully completed a combat and possibly gotten Mateo hung from a bridge somewhere. It's certainly possible. So that's first session. Oh my
Great job,
goodness.
everybody.
That was a lot of fun, guys. That was
That was a lot of
hilarious. Oh my goodness. That was so funny.
Chauncey's the best.
That was really
Dude,
good, Jeremy.
Mateo is still running. He's
Just
so fun.
ruin that man's life for no reason. Chauncey didn't even know about what's going on inside.
Well, your families do kind of hate each other, so I guess there's that at least. So yeah, we'll pick up, and you guys will have time to continue your investigation of the scene, which is a little bit more scattered now. But like Vincent, I'm going to say your spirit sight's still running. You can still see the ghost. You'll Arkadiy, if you wanted to follow the tracks, or if there's other things that you want to look into, you will still have time to do it. There's probably a timer on it though, as they will probably report a dead body. City Watch will probably come at some point. So but we'll resolve more investigation of the scene when we pick up next session. But that's it. First time. That was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Very
That
nice.
was
That was a lot of
super
fun.
fun.
That was a
Yeah,
good
that
super
was
fun.
good.
Yeah. Great
Okay.
thing.
I just want to say thanks to some raids. I know we got a few raids. Matt in the Hat and Demon X, I think, raided earlier. So thank you so much, guys. Sorry, I was a little busy, but
Thank you,
appreciate
thank
it. Okay, let's do a couple closing plugs. We'll get on out of here. Start with Aaron. Aaron, what you got going on over at Garbling?
So next week on Tuesday at, I believe it's going to be 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over on the Garblag Games YouTube channel. Pete should be back for some more Electric State. And then either Wednesday or Thursday of next week, I'm not sure which, I think it actually happened this week, didn't it? The Discworld one-shot.
Yeah, it was this
So,
week. Yeah,
That was this week. So tune in on the Garblag Games Gartopia Discord channel and see what else might be coming up next week. We may be starting Judge Dredd next week, but it might be the week after.
Look at Jeremy Space. Oh my goodness, that's
man.
awesome. Fantastic. Okay. As for us, tomorrow night, Aaron's going to be running us through some Dragonbane. So we're back after about a month. We were in a cave. Water is dangerous.
Swim
Who would've
checks.
thought?
Yeah. Swim checks are tough.
Swim checks.
Armor.
We'll see.
Dragon.
Heavy
Giant
armor.
eels.
Heavy armor says heavy. It's right there in the name. It's right there in the name.
Jeff, can I make a recommendation? Just don't go in the water.
No, I don't. I'm reckless. It's like I gotta do it. I'm a frog. That's my natural habitat.
Yeah, do what you
It
gotta
all
do,
made
right?
sense. It all made sense.
Makes sense.
Then Saturday we got some Call of Cthulhu. You see a few of us here playing through that. We're still in Bangkok. We've haven't played for a couple of weeks, so very excited to get back to that. We left on some cliffhangers, so let's see how that goes. Monday, you can see the top row up here playing through some Other Escape, our cyberpunk game, and then on Tuesday we should be playing some more Star Trek. Probably our finale. I think that's where we're leaning. It might be the finale of our Star Trek campaign with Steven sitting in the chair. And then I also, speaking of Steven, let's mention some Huckleberry, huckleberryrpg.com. It's a game our dear friend Steven has been working really hard on for a really long time. It is a cinematic Western action horror. If you like that sort of thing, you definitely should give it a try. We played it here on the channel a month or two ago. Take a look at it. It's super fun. And a lot of new updates have recently come out, and there's more coming. And he got to show me a preview yesterday of a adventure that I wrote as it was kind of all laid out. It's pretty sweet. So very excited to see that come out. And then, other thing I should say is Saturday, come hang out with us as well, because we got a giveaway. Our dear friends at Norse Foundry have given us some gift certificates to give away for the holiday season. So we're going to be giving those away on Saturday. So you should come hang out, get some gift certificates, buy some awesome dice and dice related accessories. But that's it for us. Thanks for playing, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this later. We're going to raid Insomnia Night RPG. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
See ya.